Hey guys, so I told you guys that I was going to give you a drill to stretch your diaphragm. What I've learned thus far, as far as the nervous system, the diaphragm activates your parasympathetic, okay? And that is what gives you the sense of calmness. It also is involved in, if you do your research, respiratory issues, obviously. But if restricted and shortened, it can give you, breathing problems. It can give you mobility issues, range of motion issues, as far as being able to lift your arms overhead. The diaphragm, if you learn to breathe correctly, and there are some other breathing exercises that you can do, can actually translate to dual movements, meaning bilateral movements. So pull-ups, squats, anything that requires for you to use both parts of your body at the same time. So overhead press, you can actually get gains, or the movements might feel smoother. So there's a lot of importance as to why you want to stretch your diaphragm. You can also exercise your strengthen it, because your diaphragm is a muscle, and you have maximum excursions, maximal breaths, inhale and exhale. And I did a video on that before too, but this one is for stretching, because I feel like we are sitting again. Everyone is at home, everything is compressed, and you can have a shortened diaphragm from childbirth. Maybe you had something traumatic happen to you. What else? Bronchitis, asthma, any type of respiratory. So it's always good to work that muscle and to stretch it out as well. My father follows Eastern medicine, and so I was taught to breathe from the dantian, or your solar plex, belly breathe. When I did powerlifting, they told us to breathe air into our belly, blow out into our belt, and out to the side. So you want to build that internal pressure and build that stability, your own belt inside, because that's what's going to keep your spine stable, your vertebrae stable, keep everything where it's supposed to be. And that's how you'll be able to generate more force, because you're feeling, you actually have some stability. Anytime you lack stability somewhere in a part of your body that's supposed to be stable, you're actually losing energy and you're losing force. So you're not at your full potential of strength or power, because it's leaking somewhere else. So there's different ways of looking at it and how you can use it for, strength and athletes, and just relaxation, or just getting to the parasympathetic to calm that nervous system down. So we're going to start off with the stretch, and then I'm also going to talk about something else with the brain. So for the stretch, you're going to go on your back, okay? And then you're going to go into a posterior tilt, which means you're going to tuck in or squeeze your butt, tuck in your tailbone or your pelvis, like turn it in this way. See, almost like if you're going to go into like a glute bridge, but we're not. So tuck in, posterior pelvic tilt this way. And then you're going to take your hands and you're going to bring them back as far as you can. So now, those of you who lack range of motion or mobility, and maybe you're just kind of like stuck up here and your arms can't go all the way down, you can put a pillow or something just to meet you there at where your range is. So posterior pelvic tilt, bring your arms back, and then you're going to exhale. So you're going to go Inhale. Until you can't anymore. And just when you think you don't have enough air, you push more air out. And that's actually stretching your diaphragm. So you might feel a release in your lower back too, L1, L2, because the diaphragm is associated with that area. And so if you have tension and you're stretching it, you might feel a stretch in that area of your lumbar. So, which is also good for my people who are suffering from lower back pain, and you might not know why, but maybe you're like this all day and you need to open this up, stretch the diaphragm out, and get some release in that lower back. So that's great for that. And you can do that 2 or 3 times. Obviously, if you get lightheaded, knock it off. But you want to do that maybe once or twice throughout the day. And then it's also going to wake up, like I said, your nervous system, your parasympathetic. We want that all the time. We always want to be in a parasympathetic state. So that might help with like some anxiety. And just work on that. And it might help with your lifts as well. But again, if you want to strengthen it, then that's, maximal expansion, or maximal breath exercises, which I did in another video. So I wrote down some notes too. So we did the bilateral movement because also, as far as the diaphragm is concerned, it actually works with something called the supplementary motor area of your brain. And that's why if you learn to control and contract and relax your diaphragm and do breath exercises or breathing drills, you can actually increase, you can get stronger or more explosive with your bilateral movements. The other thing about your brain and pain, one of the examples that they gave was a runner. Okay, so you get somebody who comes to you and they're running, and they say around the 4 and 5 mile mark they get knee pain, right? But you do all the testing and the person is fine. They don't have any tears. They don't have any, meniscus, ACL problem, none of that. But they're complaining of pain when they hit the 4 to 5 mile mark of running. So when you're dealing with someone like that, you have to be specific, right, to their needs. So that person, you might have to take them out and have them run the 4 miles, then come back to you. They have to come back to you in a state of fatigue, be able to duplicate what brings the onset of pain. And then you can do your testing and see what's working and what's not. So sometimes when people are running, the cerebellum will give out, or the vestibular part of your body, which is in your ear. So when you're running, the cerebellum holds about 80% of your neurons. So that's a lot. And so it's very important that you test that. But if your cerebellum gives out, or even your vestibular system gives out, right, the brain perceives it as a threat. It might get fatigue. It's just overload, right? It's just too much while you're running. That 4 or 5 mile mark might just be too much for the vestibular system or too much for your cerebellum. And so what the brain does was like, okay, well, our legs are moving. I'm gonna send pain to the knee area because I need you to stop doing what you're doing because I just can't take it anymore. So we need to pay attention to that. We'll get into the testing another time, but I just wanted to share that with you guys so that you guys could see how the brain is connected to a lot of what we do and what we're feeling. And you might have knee pain, and you might, the perception of your pain, to you is real, but sometimes there's nothing there. There's no tear. There's nothing there. It's just your perception. Your brain can't process what's going on, or it's like system overload. The vestibular system, the cerebellum. Some part of your brain can't process it, or it's just too much, and then it needs to have you stop doing that task. So I'm just finding it really interesting because sometimes when you get clients or people who come into the clinic, it's good to have another form of testing, because sometimes those people come to you because they feel hopeless, right? They come to you because everyone is saying that they test them and there's nothing wrong with them. Well, are they doing the right test? Are they just doing the palpating? Are they doing the muscle testing, but not making sure that maybe something in their brain is not working? And it could be, like I said, visual, vestibular, your cerebellum. Some part of your brain is not functioning, and your cerebellum is controls your control movement. So that thing is not working, or can't process, or it's overloaded, it's gonna send pain, and it's 80% of your brain. So you want to make sure that that's working properly, right? There's a lot of neurons in there. So I just wanted to share that with you because I find it really, really interesting, and the more I talk about it, the more I'm able to observe it. So I'll be sharing a little bit more of that with you guys, because I am going to be using it more with my athletes, because again, there's a whole nother, you can take people's training to a whole nother level if you can find or unlock what part of their brain is not processing a movement or something correctly. Once you turn that on, it's fireworks, and you make people awesome at what they do, and it's less aggressive, less invasive, and it has me, as I'm doing more of my research, like questioning some of my techniques that I am using, because a lot of the times I'll do really aggressive tissue work, and people are in pain, they're sweating sometimes. Am I doing them a disservice? Am I overloading their nervous system? So I'm making connections, and I'm trying to figure out bits and pieces. Like I said, and I've said in other videos, I like to take a little bit from here and there, and see how I can use it in my practice. And what I'm finding, like I said, like breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. Eastern medicine has been doing it, but then like if you do it for Tai Chi or Qigong, and my father, I've been doing that with my dad, but I really didn't understand like how that translated into science, right? You do it because it's a tradition, and that's just what they do, and energy, and it's more holistic. But now that I'm able to correlate the two together, it's like fire right now. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hope the breathing exercise helps you. Try to do it twice a day, and I'll hit you with some other stuff. I got a bunch of other DMs about different scenarios, so I'm gonna write them down and talk about them and do videos for you guys. I hope everyone's healthy, safe, bessels and blessings, and I'll talk to you soon.